You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much, everyone out there, for listening to the podcast. All right, so this is just outrageous. This is from the Associated Press. This is being widely reported. Secret Chinese police station in New York City leads to arrest. 2 men were arrested Monday on charges they helped establish a secret police station in New York City on behalf of the Chinese government. And about 36 officers with China's National Police Force were charged with using social media to harass dissidents inside the United States, authorities said on Monday yesterday. The cases are part of a series of Justice Department prosecutions in recent years aimed at disrupting Chinese government efforts to locate in America pro-democracy activists and others who are openly critical of Beijing's policies and to suppress their speech. One of the 3 cases announced Monday concerns a local branch of the Chinese Ministry of Public Security that is operated inside an office building in Manhattan's Chinatown neighborhood, because, that's where the Chinese are. They can blend in, before closing last fall amid an FBI investigation. So this is the second Chinese police station we caught. The 2 men who were arrested were acting under the direction and control of the Chinese government, and blah, 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 it goes on. Okay. During the years of the Cold War with Russia, I do not remember any Russian police stations being found out. These Russian police stations in New York, calling them police stations, or I'm sorry, these Chinese police, I said Russian. These Chinese police stations almost makes it sound like they're legit. These aren't police stations. Yeah. There are a couple of things. One, they're spy centers, okay? This would be like with the Soviet Union, the KGB having operations. So they're spy centers spying on American citizens, people in the United States. And, New York City is not our capital, but it is the financial hub of the world. So there's all kinds of reasons for them to be there. And there are lots of Chinese dissidents in this country, and they're spying on them and harassing them as they are amping up and gearing up to a war to take Taiwan. How much crap are we going to take from China? Obviously, some of our top officials are owned and controlled by China. Yeah. Joe Biden, right? Mitch McConnell, Dianne Feinstein.
That's why all this is happening.
Yeah. I mean, enough is enough. And, I know as the campaign amps up more with President Trump, that this is going to be a big issue. China owns our top government officials. They're spying. They're openly spying. This is the Chinese government. This isn't some rogue China operation. And this should be a very public thing going on here. It's kind of buried. It's mentioned in the mainstream media almost as an afterthought and almost like a joke. Oh, there's a Chinese police station. It's not a police station. It's a spy center. And it's a base of operations for their intelligence operation. It would be like they're equivalent to the CIA, but worse because it's like they're more even a secret police. Pretty crazy stuff. Why are we doing business with China after everything they've done the last few years?
I'm sure it's not the only one in the country either.
There's probably
one in Los Angeles too.
There's probably one here in Miami.
Yeah.
And there's probably one in every major center.
They're hitting us on all fronts, and this is a Cold War like we've never seen.
Yeah, and how many of you?
They're infiltrating our complete society.
And I'll tell you where else they are. How many of you in college had Chinese college professors? I had Chinese college professors.
I had many.
And I had Chinese college professors. I had one guy. I had a math class in college. And I had to drop the class.
Me too.
Because I couldn't understand what he was saying. Because his accent was so heavy.
I took math was my worst subject. And I took 2 in a row, algebra. I failed them both in my freshman year. And the dean sent me a letter that they were going to kick me out of school because I could not pass algebra. And I went to the dean and I said, you have to give me an American teacher. I said, they're all Chinese and I can't understand a word they're saying. I'm really struggling. And she said, no problem. And then I got a B or something in the class and made it through. Thank God. But that was awful.
Your professor and mine were probably both CCP. And I'll tell you why I say that. That's a way for them to infiltrate. And what's happened here is the Chinese have infiltrated every aspect of our government, and they infiltrate our universities, and then they infiltrate our student bodies. They graduate with these advanced college degrees, and then all of a sudden they're working in Silicon Valley and financial districts in New York. Who knows what they're doing? This is not a Cold War that we're going through between the Chinese move with TikTok, which is spyware, pushing this gender affirmation thing through TikTok that we've talked about that a lot. China, the CCP are attacking us on every front in a non-military way.
Well, it's all about weakening the country.
I feel like we've already lost the war.
They're
with China.
feminizing men.
Yeah,
they're creating confusion. They're altering the culture. And liberals hate America anyway, so they just fall right in line. They idolize these kinds of countries. They love China.
Yeah.
And they think it's great, and they love dictators, and they love all this stuff, so they think it's wonderful. They're stupid, but they're attacking our culture. They're changing our way of life.
They've infiltrated our whole country.
They've totally brainwashed the youth through TikTok.
Bought off our government.
They've convinced the young people that there's multiple genders.
Yeah.
That you can choose your gender. I mean, it's insane. And the liberals, because they're so hell-bent on going against anything Trump says or anything a conservative says, they just go right along with it. They're idiots.
And then look at this.
Lunatics.
Look at this distraction. While China is operating a spy center in New York and all these things we just talked about, they're trying to tell us Putin is the guy to watch out for.
Yeah.
I mean, this is insane.
Yeah.
This is insane. Now, I want to do, just here in the first segment, I want to do a follow-up to what I talked about on the show this morning about the AI, because Kathy and I were talking after I got off the air this morning, and you you brought up a good point to me. We were talking on the phone, and I wish I would have thought of this myself when I was on the show today. A lot of people that I was talking to today, and we're in my YouTube live stream chat about the chat AI, say, oh, well, I just won't use it and all this stuff. The AI, Chat GPT is just the first introductory stage, okay? Right. This is like AOL dial-up days, okay? The more advanced ones are coming. And what you had said, which is so true, is it's replacing search engines like Google and whatever search engine. Come on, we all use Google. I know people say they use this. They say they use that. So, with Google, you type in something, and then it gives you links to all kinds of websites to choose from, and then you choose which one you want to go to. Maybe you go to 5, maybe you go to 20, maybe you go to 1.
It gives you options.
On the AI, you ask it to search for something, it just gives you the answer without any options.
It's going to replace Google. It's going to young people for sure.
It's going to replace search engines.
Yeah.
It's
just going to give you the answer at once.
It's going to replace, and now people under 40, maybe even under 45, but certainly under 40 can't write in cursive. Okay? What's happening with and this has a lot to do with China, okay? And the Democrats are embracing this. They're just all excited because they figure they could, be in power. But what's happening here is with the loss of the ability to write in cursive, they probably can't even read in cursive, the under 40s, maybe even 45s, but the under 40s, that generation, 40 and below, is the first American generation to be less educated, less informed. I don't want to say stupid because there's the ability to learn. They're just not being taught these things. They're the first American generation to be less informed than the generation before.
But they think they're more informed. They think they're like when I talked to Emily about this,
our daughter,
she's 24.
They think they're more enlightened.
She thinks they're more informed, her generation, because there's more technology and more available.
No.
Now our daughter's very smart. I will say that. But I said, look, you're not the example of most people your age.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know how to fill out a check or, I guess
balance
that stuff's obsolete and all that. But the thing is, they're already having an issue with young people in college and in high school using chat GPT to write their papers, and I don't know how the teachers can control that.
Well, here's the thing, okay?
So they don't even have to think anymore.
A lot of people, have different ideas on why a college education is important. Like if you go and apply for a job, why is a college education important? It's important for a number of reasons, and the purpose of college varies. Sometimes you go to college to get a very specific degree, like you're going to be a nurse or a doctor or a dentist. But what college does, you have to take the first 2 years of college really suck because you take all these really boring things, like the basic stuff. You don't start your major until your third year, but you're doing all these weird things and you're rewiring your brain so that you can think better. I'm talking about
learn critical thinking skills.
You're totally rewiring your brain to think and smart ways and creating more pathways to think. And I know I'm going to get a lot of comments about this. And I'm not saying you have to go to college. I went to college as an adult, guys. Okay, so I'm not one of these college snobs. Rush Limbaugh didn't go to college. Sade did go to college, and they're doing well. I'm just telling you that's like one of the main purposes of college. When we went to college, even though I went as an adult. But what's happening now in college and in high school, they're doing the opposite. They're teaching young people how not to think. They're just telling them the way that they want them to think. It's indoctrination centers.
Yeah. Well, I don't think college has anything to do with it. I think young people don't read. Our daughter doesn't even read books hardly, and she was a big reader growing up, read all the time. And she's just not interested in reading books or novels anymore. And young people, and like I said, she's very smart, but it's a different. They think that they don't need to read because if they want to learn about like Moby Dick or Jane Austen, they just Google it. And boom, they get the cliff notes. They get everything right there. Wikipedia. Everything's at their fingertips. Well, so they think they're smarter because they have access to information like we didn't have, but they don't think like we used to think.
This is worse than anyone thought. Let me explain to you what's going on here, okay? When, Twitter, when Elon Musk bought Twitter, and everybody was talking, we were talking about it, and I said, this is so strange that, one, they're letting him buy Twitter, and they're letting him do it so easily. And now I know why. It's because of the AI. Twitter, which was commanding during President Trump's first term, Twitter commanded the entire news cycle and the entire thought process of everything in our society, not just politics, but entertainment, anything it was being driven by Twitter. The rise of the AI, before it was introduced to us, these tech powers that be, They knew they had the AI coming. They let Elon Musk take over Twitter because Twitter is old. That's like a rotary phone compared to what the AI is. And we are about to move into a situation where we are going to lose control and the ability to retake control of our entire civilization with this AI. It's like
a bad science fiction movie where the robots take over.
It's Skynet.
Where AI takes over. And
that's right.
I watched Elon Musk's interview with Tucker, and I don't think Tucker understood half of what he's saying, but he pretended that he did because he said words I've never even heard before, and I'm pretty well read. And Brian and I had to Google some of these words. I'm like, I've never. He is so intelligent on a whole other level.
Musk,
this guy,
Tucker, yeah.
But I was kind of aggravated because he said he helped develop this Chat GPT, and then he said it got away from him, and now he wants to create another one. And I'm thinking, well, you're complaining about it, but you want to contribute more to the problem. And what you're going to see is all these rich billionaires that are going to get involved on this because this is like a whole other way of control.
Yeah.
And a whole other way to influence the world, which we all know these rich guys get off on. And what's going to happen is you were talking about the news. And I think what's going to happen is and it might be happening already, news organizations are probably using Chat GPT to write their copy. I would not be surprised if people that write the copy for Fox or CNN, that they read on the teleprompter, would you be surprised if the copywriters that do that are using Chat GPT to help them get through it? No, I wouldn't be. I promise you they're doing it.
In less than 5 years, this could be, it is happening now, but in less than 5 years, probably in 2 years, all of the news and information we get and all publications will come from the AI. And Elon Musk said the AI is being trained to lie ignore facts, be politically correct, and push a liberal agenda. Now, I want to tell you guys,
It's not accurate at all.
we have coming in the mail today. It's not yet arrived, but it'll be here later today. Our brand new MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper. We got the 2.0. We got a new bed, for a guest room. And the reason we did that is because, our daughter, she moved out, but she comes and visits. So we turned her bedroom into another room here. So Kathy and I could, utilize the space. Then we realized we don't have a guest room. So we're putting together a guest room again. We got a new bed, and we got the MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper 2.0 to put on the mattress in there. Now, the MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper 2.0 has the cooling technology in it. So it perfectly regulates your body temperature. And
she'll have one a little better than the one we have.
Exactly. And the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper turns your entire bed into a MyPillow. It makes a great gift for Mother's Day. It comes in every mattress size that there is. And with our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE at MyPillow.com, the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper 2.0 is 40% off and free shipping. 40% off and free shipping for the MyPillow 3-inch mattress topper 2.0 with the cooling technology. But you've got to use our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE at MyPillow.com. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of that same old hairstyle? Do you want to switch things up and stand out from the crowd? Look no further than Dread Cabrit. Dread Cabrit specialize in boho locks, a freeform version of faux locks, available in different colors and including hair. Their bohemian locks are handmade with love and utilize crochet locks, a crochet hook, and additional extension hair to create that perfect look. And don't forget about their famous extra curly hair used in mastering the boho locks process. It's the perfect combination of goddess locks and traditional faux locks. At Dread Cabrit, they celebrate real, authentic brilliance in women and men who believe in themselves. Book your appointment today and let love be in the hair. Find them on Instagram at Dread_Cabrit. That's KABRIT. Or call them directly 561-708-0554. 561-708-0554. Dread Cabrit, because your hair deserves to be loved. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Are you tired of sifting through biased news stories? Are you looking for a news source free from personal opinions and obvious political bias? Look no further than NewsGPT.ai. NewsGPT.ai is the world's first news channel generated entirely by artificial intelligence. That's right, no reporters and no bias. The sole focus of NewsGPT.ai is to provide you with accurate and reliable news for free. Unlike other news sites, the stories on NewsGPT.ai are not influenced by advertisers, political affiliations, or personal opinions. Everything you see is generated by AI, ensuring that all stories are fact-based and unbiased. NewsGPT.ai is committed to delivering the news you need to know in a way that's easy to understand and free from any agenda. Stay informed with the top AI-generated stories delivered directly to your inbox. NewsGPT.ai. Real news by fake people.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
I want to say before you move on with the chat GPT, I tested it when it first came out, and what I did is I put in tell me historical events from like a certain year, like 1865 or 1760. And it listed a bunch of like historical facts, like Benjamin Franklin did this and this. So I'm like, wow, this is really interesting because it listed all these important things. Well, I cross-referenced this stuff with finding online on Wikipedia and other sources on Google and everything. And they had all the dates wrong. All the dates were wrong. So it's, like you said, in its early stages. So any kid who's using this to write papers, you definitely need to double check because it's very inaccurate. And like you said, when it's got a slant already, and I don't know who's programming this, but it's liberal for sure.
China and Silicon Valley.
I think so because it has a liberal slant. I know you did a rap song with Trump, and that was like a positive thing. But if you ask anything other than that about Trump or Biden or anything, it's going to give you a liberal bent on it, very negative. And what I'm afraid of is this is going to filter into so many other aspects of our life. It's technology's great, excuse me, and exciting, but this is like I said, out of a bad science fiction film where like the artificial intelligence is taking over. And then what happens when they put this artificial intelligence and don't laugh into like animatronic robot type things. I know it sounds crazy. I can't even believe we're having this conversation here. And they always say someday people are going to have robots in their house helping them clean and help around the house and God knows what. And then what happens if you have this with you're having conversations?
Mm-hmm.
You can already talk to your Alexa. She talks back. I mean, it's like I read this one article where a chat program, an artificial intelligence taught itself a foreign language all by itself.
Absolutely.
That is scary.
So there's an article here. This is very exciting.
It's thinking.
Stuff.
It's thinking on its own.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, now this is very exciting here. There's an article today. Kari Lake planning her comeback. And Kari Lake spent this past weekend at Mar-a-Lago. And tonight, she's going to address a border crisis fundraiser. Okay, and she told Kimberly Guilfoyle that this is Kari Lake. She told Kimberly Guilfoyle she's written a book. It's going to be coming out in the next few months. And there's been a new poll done. Okay, a new poll shows that Kari Lake would dominate the Republican primary field if she threw her hat into the ring in Arizona's Senate race. And then they have video of here with President Trump. She went on a party on a private yacht. Caitlyn Jenner was there, and
so
Kevin
Sorbo.
To run
for senator in 2 years?
She's talking about running for the Senate in Arizona. Here she is with Caitlyn Jenner, who is Caitlyn Jenner's trying to dress like Melania. She's wearing like a Melania dress.
All in with Trump now.
Yeah, but the dress looks better on Melania than it does on
Caitlyn
Jenner here.
Well, couldn't do worse. I mean, she always looks great.
You know, here's the thing, okay, with Kari Lake. Kari Lake is, let me tell you, the left and the mainstream media are going to do everything in their power to stop Kari. They are most afraid of Donald Trump. All right? Most afraid of Donald Trump. The second person they're most afraid of is Kari Lake, even ahead of Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You think so? I don't know. I don't think they see her as a threat at all.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Marjorie Taylor.
I think they see her as a joke.
No, they see her as a threat. That's why they work so hard to stop her becoming governor and this thing in the Senate.
Yeah.
They're going to let her in the Senate. Marjorie Taylor Greene is very good, and we all love Marjorie Taylor Greene, but she's not presidential material. I know a lot of people may disagree with me on that. Kari Lake has more of a leadership personality. She's kind of like an alpha male type personality, even though she's a woman. And Marjorie Taylor Greene very likely could be the first Republican woman Speaker of the House. I know they're talking about her running for the Senate. I don't think she should. I think her running for the Senate is a trap to get her to lose. And I don't think I think she should stay in the House. I don't think she should in her little district and be powerful in the House and not go towards the Senate or run for governor or anything. We need her where she is, and she could be Speaker. But the personality type that Kari Lake has, out of everyone out there that's MAGA, Kari Lake's personality type is the closest to Donald Trump than anyone else. And I used to think that of Ron DeSantis, and then he, exposed himself to us. But Kari Lake has practically moved into Mar-a-Lago.
Maybe she has.
I don't know. Maybe she does. Maybe President Trump gave them a. Remember, Mar-a-Lago shuts down over the summer. It'll be shutting down soon.
Yeah.
And then President Trump typically goes to New Jersey then, But Kari Lake is the fastest rising MAGA person out there. If she doesn't make it into the Senate race or something happens and she can't become the senator, who knows what's going to go on in Arizona, she'll definitely have a top spot in Trump's cabinet. I mean, I'd love her to be the White House press spokesperson for Trump, but that's probably too low for her.
Yeah, I think she'd be perfect in that, but I think you're right. She has higher aspirations.
Yeah, she needs to be in charge of something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what. Vice president is really a nothing position. They don't do much.
Yeah.
They have no authority. The only thing about the vice president with Trump this time around that's so important is because he only has one more term, and they would surely get the nomination. Now, yesterday, we didn't do a podcast yesterday because I did this vlog, and I posted this vlog up on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig Show on YouTube. And we didn't do a podcast yesterday because I didn't want the podcast to distract from the vlog, because the vlog is very important. And this is continuing today. Yesterday afternoon, we were getting ready to podcast, and I got a text from my friend PJ. And he lives in a county south of where we live, and he was telling me that the gas stations had no gas. He found regular at Wawa. And I'm like, what? What's going on? I said, I don't know. So I said, and both of our cars were low on gas, and I was just going to fill up on the way to work today. But I said, I got this text from PJ. I said, I better go out. I had to go to 3 gas stations before I found a gas station with gas. There was a 4th one I went by. I didn't stop. I saw they had it roped off. So there were 3 gas stations that had no gas. One of them had diesel only. They had no other. They didn't have regular gas. And I had to go to the 4th gas station, which was a Wawa. And they only had regular, and there was a line. I had to wait about 20 minutes, which may not seem like a long time, but that's a long time to be waiting for gas. And what has happened is we had that 100-year rainstorm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, that the one that you saw on the national news that flooded out the airport in Fort Lauderdale. And Fort Lauderdale, the port in Fort Lauderdale, which is where we go out of for most of our listener cruises, is called Port Everglades. Is the port in Fort Lauderdale. That's where all our gasoline comes through. And because of the rains and the floods, I don't know exactly what caused it, but there's been a delay in us getting gas. And then I've been hearing from people this afternoon who are telling me that there's still gas shortages in South Florida.
Yep.
And yeah, I know. Can you believe this? And this is the thing about Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis really has let us down. He's running around with patting himself on the back for his leadership during COVID. A lot was closed down in Florida, okay? Now, not a lot was closed down because of him. A lot of stuff were closed down by local counties and municipalities that were run by Democrats. I get that. I'm not blaming him for everything that was closed down. But we have a bit of a crisis here. I read a local news story where this was today. They were at local gas stations interviewing people, and they went to a woman, her warning light that she was going to be out of gas was going off. She was in line for gas, and she's an Uber driver. And, she uses a lot of gas because she's an Uber driver, and if there's a gas shortage for even a couple of days, and you're an Uber or Lyft driver, or you're doing DoorDash or something, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to work? Are you going to work less? You're going to make less money? And Ron DeSantis, I haven't even heard a statement from Ron DeSantis on the rainstorm or this shortage of gasoline.
He hasn't said one thing about it.
Now, in Florida,
it was literally like a hurricane came through Fort Lauderdale. The flooding was so bad.
Yeah.
And they said the trucks couldn't get out. But I think it's possible. They have these huge tanks at Port Everglades where the oil comes in. Huge, huge tanks where they store it. And I think it's possible that they were flooded and got damaged. Who knows? Because I don't know why. The rain was a week ago. Why can't they get the trucks out now?
It's very strange.
But
I don't know. I don't know why there's a shortage, but it's been going on for 2 days. And
longer than that.
And here's the thing, okay? The only time we've had gasoline problems in Florida is with hurricanes, okay? Because before hurricanes, people buy a lot, and sometimes it surpasses the supply. And what happens is we have generators. Like we have a generator here at our house in case we lose electricity, after a hurricane, because trees knock down power lines. So I've got a bunch of 5-gallon drums that I fill up with gas when we get a hurricane warning. And if we don't need the generator and the hurricane passes us by, I just put that in our cars for the next few weeks, that gas. So, it doesn't go to waste. And we used to have gas station problems after hurricanes because if you lose power, the stations couldn't pump gas. The governor before Ron DeSantis was Rick Scott, and he's now one of our senators, Senator Rick Scott. He was our governor for 8 years, a very good governor. And he passed regulations. I don't know if this is a law. I think it may be a regulation, but gas stations now have to have generators so they can pump gas if they lose power after a hurricane. We've not so this gasoline shortage we're having is something we only have during hurricanes, and we haven't had one like this during a hurricane for years because Rick Scott fixed things about that so much. And Ron DeSantis typically has a press conference pretty much every day. And all he's talking about is Disney World and what he's going to do to Disney World. Yeah. He's trying to get sound bites like, maybe I'm going to build a state prison next to Disney World. He was saying, when there's this crisis going on, and a lot of people may say, well, big deal, shortage on gas. And the South Florida area is a major metropolitan area from Miami through the Fort Lauderdale area, through the Palm Beach area. And a lot of people drive 30, 40 miles each way to work every day. And they need gas. Okay? And a gas shortage is a big problem. We don't have.
This is why you need an electric car.
Unless
my brother-in-law has. He has a Tesla.
Yeah, well, if it gets flooded, it doesn't work. And they burst into flames. Remember this after the. So Ron DeSantis, I know a lot of people are.
Remember, Ron DeSantis set up all those green stations.
Did he?
Remember, he said that thing during the his first campaign.
Really?
You had that soundbite of him talking about
energy, setting up the charging stations,
and putting all this money into green charging stations.
Setting up. And here's the thing. I do not have I do not have DeSantis derangement syndrome. Okay. Because I know some people have been accusing me of having DeSantis
DDS
derangement syndrome. I do not have DeSantis derangement syndrome. He is our sitting governor. There is a crisis going on in our community, and he hasn't uttered a word about it.
Yeah,
no,
he hasn't.
And if this were a year ago, 6 months ago, he'd be here.
Yeah,
taking care of it because it was an election.
He would have actually come down to Fort Lauderdale and had a press conference in downtown Fort Lauderdale and handled it. He's totally MIA.
Well,
he's campaigning. He's got stars in his eyes, and he's running for president right now.
I feel like he's gotten from Floridians what he thinks what he wanted. Reelected. Yeah. He got his second term. He takes us for granted, and he's left us. He doesn't care about us anymore after he got what he wanted.
Well,
and
he's
it's a problem.
Regret it if he ever does run and he loses Florida and Florida turns blue.
Well,
or he doesn't even get the nomination.
Well, Ron DeSantis, if it wasn't for Trump running in 2024, because of Ron DeSantis, Florida could go blue without Trump on the ticket. Trump's going to run, so it's going to stay red. But people are really upset. And, this gas shortage that I made a YouTube video about it yesterday. I was really like the first person, I think, to make a video about this. I had one gas station guy run me off the gas station. Didn't want me showing what was going on. So go and watch that video. But our local news here in South Florida, they're all covering it. They're at the gas station showing the lines and interviewing people. And these are network affiliates, NBC, Fox. And I haven't seen anything in the national media about the gas shortage in South Florida because they're covering for DeSantis because they want him out there to run against Trump and try to damage Trump. It's really bad. Now, listen, we're going to take a break. When we get back, there's more to talk about. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We'll be right back.
Are you or someone you know going through menopause? Do you feel like it's a topic that's not discussed enough, especially within the African American community? Author April S. Lilly is here to change that with her new book, Menopause and the Black Woman, A Guide to Wellness for African Americans. Available on Amazon. With over 20 years of experience in the healthcare field, the author provides an invaluable resource for anyone navigating the complex world of menopause. This book discusses the physical, emotional, and mental changes that women go through during this time of their lives. It's a must-read for anyone going through menopause or anyone looking to gain a deeper understanding of this phenomenon. The author's goal is to open up the conversation to begin to understand this part of womanhood. Menopause and the Black Woman, A Guide to Wellness for African Americans, is available on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, hardcover, and audiobook. Don't miss out on this empowering and informative guide to menopause wellness. Order your copy right now.
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Lisa, and my husband and I received our My Pillow 2.0 that we ordered with Kane the other day, the buy one, get one free, and they're our first My Pillows, and we love them. We absolutely love them. They're just absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I'm so glad. I got slippers on the way, too.
Go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and buy your My Pillow 2.0. Right now, buy one, get one free. You can also order by phone, toll-free, 800-716-4879, 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane. Are you struggling to connect with your teen? Are you worried about the troubles your teen is facing in today's world? Don't miss out on the ultimate guide to faith-led parenting with the book from Script Seeds, Parenting Teens Through Faith, available on Amazon. Parenting Teens Through Faith is your essential handbook to raising confident, resilient, and empowered teenagers. This book provides practical advice for providing a strong, faith-based foundation for building character, virtues, and resilience in your teen. You'll also discover essential biblical principles for providing hope and confidence, no matter your faith background. Start building a stronger, more resilient family with Parenting Teens Through Faith, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. This book is perfect for church groups. Order your copy right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Now, this is someone that I think a lot of you will know who they are. A lot of you won't know, okay? But Charles Stanley died, and Charles Stanley, he's a Baptist minister from Atlanta, Georgia, and he's on TV all the time. Even if you don't know who he is when I say his name, you've seen him because his church sermons are broadcast on national TV, and they have been for I don't know how long. And
like 50 years, yeah. I mean, since the 70s.
And even though Kathy and I are Catholic, we watch Charles Stanley on television. And you get the monthly mailer from Charles Stanley.
We met Charles Stanley. We went to Atlanta, and we were in Atlanta one time, and we went to his church.
That's right.
Just to meet him.
We
was very exciting.
Yeah, we did.
I love Charles Stanley. I watch him every week, so he was 90 years old. God bless him. He lived a long life.
Yeah, we sat in the front
and
row.
I'm confident he's in heaven.
Well, I'll tell you this, okay? And I mean this. Out of all of the pastors I have ever seen in my life, and not just on television, I wouldn't consider him a televangelist. Okay,
no,
I know he is on television, but he's not like one of those flamboyant
not
TV
at all.
fakers.
He's not one of these guys like begging for money and with all kinds of stuff to sell. No.
But Charles Stanley, out of all the pastors that I've ever known of, he's probably the only one that I am 100% confident is a true Christian believing pastor.
He's the real deal.
I mean, yeah.
And you could still watch his sermons online. Go to intouch.org, or he's on every Sunday. I watch his sermons, and he really explains the Bible very, very well. And if you watch him compared to like a Joel Osteen, you'll see what we mean. He actually teaches the Bible, and he teaches it around a theme in a way that's very understandable and relatable. And he was preaching they started running reruns a couple months ago, so I knew something was going on. And he's like 90 years old, So I'm like, okay, the end must be coming here. But he was preaching up to about 2 months ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, out there with his chair.
Mm-hmm.
And he is amazing, and he will be missed. He really is incredible.
Yeah, and he was a big to-do.
I have a bunch of his books. I've read
yeah.
tons of his books. His books are great.
He was a big to-do in the Southern Baptist, movement, and I know they think we Catholics are in a cult, the Southern Baptist, so I understand that, but we're not. But he was almost thrown out of his own church. I mean, I just read through this because this is a crazy thing that Charles Stanley went through in his own church. I'll share this with you because it shows how strict Charles Stanley's church is. Now this goes back to 93 when all this stuff was going on. Okay, Charles Stanley's wife of more than 40 years, Anna, filed for divorce in 1993, following their 1992 separation. The two of them agreed that Anna would amend a lawsuit to seek a legal separation, instead seek separate maintenance while seeking reconciliation. Okay, that they weren't going to get divorced. They were going to try to get back together. Charles Stanley's wife filed for divorce in March 1995. Okay, the Moody Radio Network station in Atlanta took Charles Stanley's daily broadcast off the air because his wife was divorcing him. As the managers of the station concluded, there was no sign of a reconciliation taking place. The Stanleys were legally separated at the time that divorce papers were filed in 2000, and in May of 2000, the divorce was final. The divorce caused a minor controversy in the Southern Baptist Convention. The matter was complicated by reports that Charles Stanley has said he would resign as pastor if he became divorced. He had said this years before that if he ever got divorced, he would resign as pastor. At the time of their separation, he stated he did not believe that it would result in divorce. However, when it did, members of the church overwhelmingly voted to keep him as pastor, according to First Baptist Atlanta's bylaws. Stanley was allowed to remain as pastor as long as he did not remarry. His wife died in 2014.
Oh, yeah, he never did remarry.
He never remarried. Okay, and this is the thing. This is they don't get into the details of this divorce in the Wikipedia there. This was a very strange thing. This is one of those rare divorces where there was no infidelity. Usually when people get divorced,
it's true.
One of them has met another person.
Well, he was spending a lot of time at work.
Yeah, well, what happened was his wife left him because she thought he was spending too much time, like Kathy said, at the church and ignoring the family. And she left him not because he was having an affair or she was having an affair. She left him because he was spending too much time working at the church, which is really and even then, the Southern Baptist Convention were going to toss him out and said, you can't be a pastor.
That's how it is when you're the lead pastor at a big church.
It's like crazy.
That. You just really don't have a life of your own.
But I got
the wife of a pastor. That's how it is.
I got to tell you, Kathy and I in the past have been regular churchgoers, and we've not been really since COVID. Yeah. And there's a few reasons why, but I really even Catholic Mass is all about taking Holy Communion, and most Catholic churches don't do the wine anymore, and the churches we go to do. Okay, a lot of them don't. Well, there's one in the neighborhood we go to where they don't do the wine. It's the body and the blood of Christ. I don't like taking communion without the wine. I feel like I'm not really. I know the Pope says you don't need to take the wine. I feel like I'm not taking communion without the wine. Okay. And there's been so many, this is before COVID. There were so many times we'd go to Mass on Sunday and then Monday I'd have a sore throat or I'd be sick or have a cold because everybody drinks out of the same cup.
Yeah.
And since COVID, I realized I used to get sick all the time. Several times a year, I'd get a cold or a flu. And I haven't really gotten, since the COVID time, I've never had COVID and I've been sick maybe twice in the last few years, and I don't want to go take communion because I realized communion was making me sick, catching colds and things like this. And you got COVID and everything, so we haven't been back to church since then. But Kathy and I are Catholic. But if Charles Stanley's church was in our town, even though we're Catholic, we would have been going to the Baptist church.
Absolutely.
That's
He's
how good he is.
He is that good.
And I don't care that they think we're in a cult because we're Catholic.
No, I don't
I'd
care.
still go
Yeah.
to Charles Stanley's
He's
church.
awesome.
And I mean, it's really sad.
Yeah.
And if you think about
But he
it,
lived a long life, and
Yeah.
I'm sure he's in heaven now.
and he wasn't
Don't feel too bad.
he wasn't one of those pastors that was holier than thou or
very down to earth.
like here in South Florida. There was a big, well-known national pastor, D. James Kennedy. A lot of you may know D. James Kennedy. I didn't know D. James Kennedy personally well. I would say I was like an acquaintance through the radio. I'd met him a few times, and and I'd met him, and he knew me and everything. D. James Kennedy was a national pastor, but he was all he talked about really was gays. He was obsessed with gay. It's all he talked about at the church. And I understand the sins and all that. I get all that. But that his whole ministry revolved around battling gay activists. And it just there was nothing else. The church was just about that one thing. They even had an activist group that worked for the church. All they were there for. And I don't think with Charles Stanley, there's a phrase called Bible believing church, which I find a little offensive. But Charles Stanley was more Bible believing than other things. A lot of these other things, it's like
a self-help.
It's more about the pastor than it is than the Bible. And with Charles Stanley, it was a little different. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, guys. And our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. The names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P, Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, K-Mac, and Cindy. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you so much. Well, listen, guys, we're out of time, but we will be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Talk to you next time.
Are you looking for a podcast that will uplift and inspire you to achieve your goals? Look no further than Inspire Your Life, the podcast that features real stories from real people doing extraordinary things. Whether you need a boost to overcome your own limitations or just want to hear some uplifting sentiments, Inspire Your Life has you covered. Topics range from battling difficulties to designing your life and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Add Inspire Your Life to your podcast playlist right now. Available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and wherever you get your podcast. Get ready to ignite your enthusiasm and take your life to the next level with the Inspire Your Life podcast. Are you a truck or car enthusiast looking to upgrade your ride? Look no further than GroundZeroCustoms.com. GroundZeroCustoms.com is an online store specializing in aftermarket performance and appearance upgrades. They have a vast inventory of high-quality parts and accessories, and they have everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. GroundZeroCustoms.com offer the best brands in the business, including Baja Designs, Mickey Thompson Tires, 4Play, and that's just the beginning. Whether you're looking for lighting upgrades or suspension modifications, they have you covered. Plus, GroundZeroCustoms.com understand that each vehicle is unique, which is why they offer a wide range of specialized parts and accessories. Upgrade your ride and make it truly your own. Go to GroundZeroCustoms.com and discover the possibilities. You will find an unbeatable selection and everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. Start shopping right now at GroundZeroCustoms.com.